This is 21 Questions by Trivia Tribe. Who is Trivia Tribe? Well, it's this trivia company that I run. Who am I? Well, my name is Mike van Acker, and over the last 22 years, I have done thousands of trivia shows in pubs and clubs around the place, and now I'm in your phone. Thank you very much for listening. I'm glad you're here. Let's get going. Question 1. Shaquille O'Neal is famous for playing which sport? Quite an easy one to get us started, I guess you'd say. He was a basketballer. He was 6 feet tall by the time he was 10, and he grew up to be 7'1". He was a big lad. Question 2. What type of creature are boas? Boas are snakes. Question 3. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail are sisters of which famous fictional rabbit? That'd be Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit, of course, was the creation of Beatrix Potter. And fun fact, she was one of the first people to do merchandising. She made a stuffed version of Peter Rabbit, like a plush toy. One of the first people to do that ever. Question 4 is always a true or false in this podcast. Here we go. True or false? The most abundant gas in the Earth's atmosphere is hydrogen. Is that true? Is that false? That's false. The most abundant gas in the Earth's atmosphere is in fact nitrogen. 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen. Question 5. Is a croissant so named because of its ingredients or its shape? That'd be its shape. Croissant as in crescent. It's allegedly shaped a bit like a crescent moon, I suppose you'd say. Question 6. With 65 million speakers, what is the only country in which Urdu is the official language nationally? I'll give you some multiple choice on this one. Is it Pakistan? Is it India? Is it Zimbabwe? Urdu is the official national language of Pakistan. Question 7. Are Vince Gill and Clint Black authors of children's novels or country and western musicians? Vince Gill, Clint Black, they are country and western musos. After question 7, we do the first clues for the Who Am I? Who am I? I'm a famous Australian golfer, but I'm known worldwide. I was born in the Queensland city of Mount Isa in 1955. I spent 331 weeks as the world's #1 ranked golfer in the 1980s and 1990s. There aren't that many famous Australian golfers, and this guy was and is known around the world. Question 8. Is Pythagoras' theorem associated with triangles or circles? That's triangles, specifically right angles. Pythagoras' theorem states that the square of the hypotenuse, which of course is the side opposite the right angle, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Got that? Clear as mud. I was talking to my sister Liz, actually, at a family event yesterday. And now my sister Liz is a very, very well-educated and smart lady. Written textbooks, has a PhD, knows what she's doing. And she said, as soon as I hear a maths question, I just zone out. So hang in there, all the people like Liz in the world who don't do maths very often anyway. Question 9, here's one that you might like better. Which colour is generally associated with jealousy or envy? That's green, the green-eyed monster. That's a bit easier, isn't it? We can all feel good about that one. Question 10. In baking, what's the term starting with B for a pie pastry that is cooked first prior to adding filling? When you cook the pastry first, that's called blind baking. Question 11. Another true or false for you. True or false? Tom Hanks provided the voice of Buzz Lightyear for the Toy Story movies. That one's false. Tim Allen did the voice for Buzz Lightyear. Tom Hanks did Woody, Sheriff Woody. Question 12. Is D-Day, and by D-Day I mean the 6th of June, is D-Day associated with World War I or World War II? One for the history buffs there. D-Day, 6th of June, 1944, therefore World War II. Question 13. Whom of the following is not mononymous? Madonna, Beyonce or Shania Twain? I guess to answer that one, you need to know what mononymous means. Mononymous means only one name, known by only one name. Therefore, out of Madonna, Beyonce, Shania Twain is not mononymous. Good-o. Question 14. In the musical The Music Man, which is an old-fashioned musical, doesn't get made that much anymore, but how many trombones led the big parade in the famous song? Is it 48? Is it 52? Is it 76? Do you remember the Daggy song, 76 trombones led the big parade? I'm almost embarrassed that I know that one, but I do know that one. More clues now for the Who Am I? We're talking the golfer born in Mount Isa, 1955, known around the world. Who am I? I've won over 85 international tournaments in my career, but only 2 majors, and my critics claim that I should have won many more of those. Therefore, I've worn the tag of choker for much of my career. I've been married 3 times, once to a famous tennis player, and spoiler alert, that did not end well. Do you know who that is yet? More clues after question 20. For now, though, question 15. In Doctor Who, what colour is the Tardis? It's blue, or so I'm told. I've never seen an episode of Doctor Who. Question 16. Here's a bit of literature for you, a bit of culture. Question 16. Did William Golding write The Lord of the Rings or The Lord of the Flies? That's Lord of the Flies. Of course, I think most of us would know that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote The Lord of the Rings. So, by process of elimination, Lord of the Flies. Question 17. Which country was Jenny Shipley the first female Prime Minister of? That'd be New Zealand. New Zealand's had, is it 3 female Prime Ministers? There's Jenny Shipley, Helen Clark and Jacinta Ardern, I think it was. I think that's all. Question 18. Is Schadenfreude or Schadenfreude A, pleasure derived from the misfortunes of others, B, the ruining of a missed opportunity, or C, the inability to see where one's own failings lie? Schadenfreude or Schadenfreude is A, pleasure derived from the misfortunes of others. Question 19. I ask you, still alive or not so much? Today, Joan Collins. Best known for a long-running role in the 1980s TV show Dynasty, which was huge in its day, and so was Joan Collins. Is Joan Collins still alive or not so much? Joan Collins was born in 1933. She is still alive. She is 92 years old. Good on you, Joan, if you're listening. I don't know if Jones does a lot of podcasts, but if she does, I reckon she'd listen to this one. Question 20 is a music question, and it's kind of interesting, I think. In 1980, Dolly Parton and Sheena Easton released different songs, but with the same title. What was the title? That would be 9 to 5. Now, Sheena Easton's songs did have in brackets after it Morning Train, but basically 9 to 5, pretty much the same. I find it fascinating there are songs out there that are exactly the same title but completely different songs. That's a good example of it, but there's lots of them. We'll cover off on a few of those as we go along going forward, I think. Let's finish the Who Am I now. We've got the golfer who's worn the tag of choker for a lot of his career because he's only won 2 majors, which is still 2 more than most of us have won, but still people are a little bit judgy. But anyway, who am I? I was the CEO of the controversial Live Golf Tournament for 4 years, but in 2025 resigned from that role to continue my business interests, which includes wine, apparel, real estate, and golf course design. I'm a member of the Brisbane 2032 Olympics Organising Committee. My first name is Greg. I am Greg Norman. Greg Norman, Australian golfer, the man nicknamed the Great White Shark for a time. Good on him. Okay, that's the 21 questions that I promised you in the label of this podcast, but we also do a player question at the end of each episode where you, if you choose to, can submit a trivia question that I will ask everyone. We'll do the answer next episode. Last episode, Richard from Redland Bay asked the question, now with over 4,000 locations in 60 countries, in which country was McCafe, the coffee house style chain owned by McDonald's, launched in? Now, last episode I said I thought it was probably Canada or America because I just assumed that that's where the most McDonald's are. And whilst that may be true, it turns out McCafe was invented in Australia, specifically in Melbourne. Melbourne likes to think of themselves as the coffee capital of Australia, but we go all right in Brisbane for a good coffee too. Australians are coffee snobs. I've been in New York and I love New York. It's my favourite city in the world. And it's tough to get a good coffee there, or at least it was the last time I was there. And they've got these magnificent barista quality machines, and then they turn out this, well, I'm just going to say it with much love to my New York friends, awful coffee. And in the end, I had to go to Little Italy, where I finally found a mafia-style guy who was a bit surly and a bit mean, but made a really nice coffee. And I was equal parts grateful and a little bit afraid of him. Anyway, McCafe was founded in Melbourne, Australia. Thank you, Richard. Good question. This episode, Joy from Kalanga asks the question, which group had a 1962 hit with Silver Threads and Golden Needles? And if I may add my own little hint to this, because 1962 is a little while ago, the name of the band had a connection with the TV show The Simpsons. So, which group had a 1962 hit with Silver Threads and Golden Needles? Simpsons reference in the answer, which I will give you next episode. Okay, that's 21 questions done and dusted, but I still have to get to the part where I ask you to submit a question for my 50th episode. I'm going to do an entire episode, 21 questions, made up entirely of questions submitted by you, the listener. Now, not to put too fine a point on it, the questions are trickling in along the way. I get a couple after every episode, and that's great. But where are you all, my American listeners? My stats tell me I've got quite a number of American listeners, same as England. Right, I've got English and American listeners. I heard from a couple of American listeners. I have not heard from any of the English ones yet. I've got listeners in Canada, in Cyprus. I've got listeners in Nigeria. I've mentioned them before, in Romania. How are you people finding me? I love it, obviously, but how did you find me in the first place? I love it. I'm grateful. I'm also a little bit curious. Anyway, send me a trivia question. You can email me direct now if you want to, mike@triviatribe.com.au, or you can go to 21 Questions by Trivia Tribe's page on Facebook. You'll recognize that because it's the same logo on that page as it is on our podcast. We're on Instagram too in a very small way. I haven't really put any time into growing the Instagram page, but I should do that at some point. You're welcome to check us out there. In any case, this podcast comes out every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thank you very much for being here, for having a listen. Meet me back here in a couple of days. We'll do it all again. My name is Mike van Acker. I very much appreciate you listening. I love you. Bye.